The sun dipped low over Maple Avenue, painting the quiet suburban street in shades of fading gold. From a distance, everything seemed peaceful. Neatly trimmed lawns, white fences, and the gentle stillness of a small American neighborhood. But beneath that calm surface, behind a cracked sidewalk and a weathered white porch, the silence broke, not with noise, but with a trembling sob so soft it might have been mistaken for the wind. A small boy stood there, clutching a threadbare teddy bear. His eyes were swollen, his voice barely more than a whisper. "He hit my grandma," he said. Those 4 words shattered the calm of the world around him. If you believe no child should ever cry from fear, if you believe courage and kindness still have the power to change lives, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness, where compassion is strength in its purest form. The boy's name was Ethan, just 6 years old. Dust streaked his hoodie where he had stumbled on his way down the steps. Behind him, on the porch, sat his grandmother Clara, her gentle blue dress torn at the shoulder, a dark bruise marring one side of her face. She tried to hide her pain, but there was no hiding the truth. At the doorway stood a man, tall, red-faced, half-drunk, a beer bottle dangling from his hand. His name was Ray. He wasn't family, just someone who'd claimed he wanted to help after Clara's husband passed away. But instead of help, he brought anger, control, and fear. That afternoon, Ethan had run barefoot into the street, clutching the teddy bear his grandmother had sewn for him in better days. He didn't know where to go, only that someone somewhere had to help. His tears splashed onto the pavement as the rumble began, deep, powerful, and growing louder. The sound of motorcycle engines rolled through the neighborhood like thunder. 6 bikes turned the corner, chrome flashing in the sunlight. At their lead was a man impossible to overlook. Tall, broad, with a salt and pepper beard and tattoos that told stories of old battles. The back of his leather vest read Hell's Angels, and beneath it, a smaller patch, RL Chills. His name was Reed, a man whose presence could still a crowd and command respect without a word. He cut the engine, swung his leg off the bike, and knelt beside the crying boy. "Hey kid," he said gently, his gravelly voice carrying both weight and warmth. "What's wrong?" Ethan didn't speak. He only pointed toward the porch, to the trembling woman and the man towering above her with the bottle in his hand. Reed's jaw clenched. Something inside him stirred, a memory, raw and familiar. He had seen this before, long ago, when he was too small to fight back. But now, he wasn't small. And he'd be damned if another child had to cry like that again. He rose slowly, eyes locked on the drunk man. Behind him, his crew, 5 men in black vests, stood silent and solid, a wall of quiet strength. Curtains fluttered across the street, doors cracked open. Everyone could feel the shift in the air. Ray straightened, his voice unsteady. "This ain't your business." Reed took a slow step forward. The sunlight glinted off the chrome on his vest. "It became my business," he said quietly, "the moment I heard a child say those words." Ray's bravado faltered. His grip on the bottle loosened. He looked at Clara, the woman whose kindness he'd crushed, then at the child who had run for help. His lips parted, but no excuse came. He didn't need Reed to raise a hand. The presence of those men who had known pain and turned it into protection, said everything. Reed stepped closer, voice low but sharp as steel. "She doesn't need your help anymore. Pack your things, you're done here." Ray took a step back, then another. No one stopped him as he stumbled inside, grabbed his keys, and drove away. The rumble of his truck faded, leaving behind something the house hadn't felt in a long time: peace. Reed turned to Clara and knelt again. She tried to smile through the ache. "You didn't have to," she whispered. "Ma'am," he said softly. "No one should have to live afraid. Not you, not him." His voice cracked just slightly as he looked at Ethan. He gestured to his crew. One man handed over a bottle of water. Another pulled out a first aid kit. The neighbors watched, astonished, as men society called dangerous showed more gentleness than the world ever expected. They checked Clara's injuries, called for help, and stayed until she was safe. When the ambulance arrived, Reed sat beside Ethan on the steps, talking quietly as the boy's tears turned into a small, shy smile. It was fragile, but it was real, and it made Reed's throat tighten. As the paramedics helped Clara inside, Ethan ran to Reed and hugged his arm tightly. "Thank you," he whispered. Reed looked down, gave a small nod, and said nothing. When the ambulance drove away, the bikers mounted their motorcycles once more. Before starting his engine, Reed looked back at the porch, at the little boy waving, at the woman safe inside. He didn't say it aloud, but the thought lingered like the echo of thunder. Sometimes the loudest acts of kindness come from the people you least expect. He revved his engine once, and the sound rolled down Maple Avenue. Not as a threat, but as a promise. That kindness still rides wherever it's needed most. If this story touched your heart, reminded you that compassion and courage can come from anyone, please like, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness, where real strength begins with simple acts of kindness. Before you go, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you heard a child whisper those words? Because sometimes, one person's courage can change everything.